Good day, everybody. My name is Dennis Collier, and unfortunately, I never played a single down of organized football. Now, don't get me wrong, it was not because of a lack of interest. I mean, we did play lots of pickup football in the backyard and whatnot, but nothing organized. I just never had the opportunity. The joke I like to make, which is not really a joke, is that when I was there, I don't believe there was a single football helmet you could find on the entire Isle of Newfoundland. I have watched a good bit of football, though, as have many people, to the tune of the National Football League grossing about $20 billion in revenue every year. And on that note, I want to take a moment before we meet today's guest athlete just to put in proper context what it means exactly from an athletic point of view to even make the NFL. Quite simply, the National Football League is home to this continent's super athletes. Freakishly big, freakishly fast, freakishly strong are the kind of athletes you'll find in the NFL. But even more than that is the underappreciated mental component to this game. Because as you'll see here in the next hour, football has among the most nuanced and sophisticated strategies of any sport you're going to find. And that is why it is such a treat to have with us here today one of the very few Canadians to ever make it to the highest possible level of this most challenging of sports, newly signed of the New York Giants, Jevon Holland. Here is his bio. After a stellar 3-year career in Division I of the NCAA with the University of Oregon, Jevon Holland was selected in the second round of the 2021 NFL Draft, 36th overall by the Miami Dolphins. In 4 seasons with the Fins, Jevon played in 60 games, totaling 301 tackles, 5 sacks, and 5 interceptions, including one spectacular 99-yard return for a touchdown. In 2025, Jevon became a free agent and signed with the New York Giants, where he currently plays as the starting free safety. Jevon Holland, please tell us where you were born and raised.
I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, more specifically New Westminster Hospital. I grew up in Coquitlam, BC. It's just like maybe like 30 minutes outside of Vancouver. And then when I was 8, I moved to America, and the rest of my adolescence I grew up in the Bay Area, Pleasanton, California.
Why football?
I played football mainly because of my older brother and my dad. I think since a young kid, the values that football teaches, like the teamwork, pushing yourself to a physical but a mental limit, and like figuring out that you can like move past that limit, and those limitations are only in the mind. And then the camaraderie and working with others, the competing for an overall goal. I think that was like my favorite part. And then just having fun. I enjoy the difficulty of football, the intricacy, the completely different language that you use. It's like a whole nother world. So I think that's something that I'm really mesmerized by, especially as a kid.
So, Jevon, you and I have not compared notes here, eh? I'm going to do a little bit of foreshadowing. I got an infographic that I'm going to show from this is my son's football team, by the way, Jevon.
Right on, right on.
The same kind of values that you just talked about as being so intricate, necessary, even I'd say, to the sport of football, are on this infographic, and this is one of the great appeals, I think, of the sport of football that you just mentioned. So, Jevon, we're going to have a fantastic hour coming up here. Just to give everybody a bit of the heads up of the structure of what we're going to follow, we're going to talk about football development as per Jevon Holland in 4 different areas. And we're going to make it specific to you, Jevon, your life's trajectory, how you got to where you are today. Part 1, we're going to talk about the age of 0 to 8, which is when you say you moved, eh? You moved to the U.S. at that age.
Yep.
We're going to then talk about 8 to college, so that encompasses the high school football years. We're going to talk about your time at college. And by the way, this is not just some prop, Jevon. This is legit.
Let's go
My my
Ducks.
my. I didn't get this because you were coming here today. My son cheers for the Oregon Ducks. Anyway,
Right
this
on.
is all legit, buddy. Anyway, and then we'll get into a bit of the NFL. So four parts of the interview. I think it's going to be, like I said, Jevon, a fantastic hour, and I really appreciate you taking time to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, so let's talk about part one: 0 to 8 years old. And your story, Jevon, is a bit unique in that your dad was a pro football player, and actually a pro football player again. Not to get too sentimental here, right in my wheelhouse, Jevon. When I was a fan of the CFL in the mid '90s, your dad was a star in the league at that
Yep.
time.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm going to ask first is, did your dad, to what degree did he direct you towards the sport of football? We're speaking now, Jevon, 0 to 8 years old.
So I don't necessarily think it was specifically football that my dad wanted me to play. I knew that he wanted us to play sports. Obviously, we're athletic kids. He is a personal trainer, so that was like his profession, you know. I think the main thing he wanted us to do was to be athletic. And so as a kid, he was like pushing us to be in those athletic realms. You know, I didn't play football until I was 10, I believe. Actually,
Really, eh?
I didn't play like tackle football until I was 10.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
played flag and whatnot, but the other sports in my life ruled what I was doing. You know, I
Like
played
what
lacrosse,
specifically?
I played box lacrosse, I played soccer, and those were my two main sports. So flag football was kind of just in the meantime, in between time. Um, and so as like a young kid, my dad really just wanted me to be athletic, have fun, and enjoy myself. And try these different sports, try these different things, so I could kind of find my right area, you know, for the lack of better terms. But from 0 to 8, there was no like, hey, I want you to play football. You know, when I was a kid, my mom said my dad used to like lay me on my back and like run my feet just to like I don't know what the science is behind it, but she said he used to do that all the time.
His
So
dad's a trainer too, folks. This guy is not a Johnny come lately.
right, right. So he knows his stuff. Apparently it worked. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna end up doing it with my kids just to give them the upper hand. But yeah, he did that when I was a kid. I was out there playing. My brother's 4 years older than me. So when I was like 6, he's 10. So he's actually like working out, doing like, you know, actual body mechanics and movements, you know, things that are being taught to him. And I'm out there just running around the workout, mimicking, making fun of my brother, like mocking him. But in reality, I'm actually doing the exercise my dad is teaching. So that as well, I was just doing it on my own, thinking that, oh, I should do this too because my brother's doing it. So yeah,
Probably the term, Javon, I think, is what you're getting. The scientific term, physical literacy, they call
yeah,
it. You're saying just building like a body of physical skills,
hmm
not football specific, from the age of 0 to 8. You say you play a bit of flag maybe,
yeah.
but you're not playing football at that age. Let me ask you this, Javon. So now we're talking in Canada, and
hmm
obviously in the U.S. It's bigger than football's bigger in the U.S. than it is in Canada. Do you know, although you weren't there personally, in the U.S. these days, are the kids playing football like say under the age of 8? Is that a thing?
There are there are like younger football league, the younger football leagues for kids under the age of 8. It's more so It's like more so flag now. Like when I was younger, there were tackle teams and whatnot, but now it's like leaning towards flag or two hand touch, or you know, it's really two hand touch. But parents put, you know, helmets and shoulder pads on their kid to protect them because they could fall, and kids are young kids are kind of clumsy sometimes. So
Mm.
um, there is leagues, but they tend to be less on the physical side, more so on the let's just go out here, have fun, let the kids run around kind of thing.
Makes sense. All right, so 0 to 8. This is your time in Canada, and the summary is, even though your dad's an ex-pro football player, it's a combination of a bunch of different sports building, as I call it, physical literacy. All right, let's move up to part two, Javon. Now you're living in the USA, more of a football environment, shall we say?
Mhm.
Um, Talk about your first experiences with the sport of tackle football. How old are you? What's the situation?
I was 10 years old. This was so we moved to America in August
2008.
of 2008, right? I was born 2000. August of 2008. So I'm already 8 years old. We moved there, and we ended up starting school a little bit late because we moved late. But football was already like started, right? They had already had teams and everything set. So we ended up joining Tri-City Titans, which was like this football team in Fremont, California. And I was put on the like U9 team, which is like under 9 years old. So at this point, I'm like athletically inclined. I've been playing all these other sports. Box lacrosse is a physical sport, so I've been playing that. And so I'm like ready for tackle football. Like I've been watching it. My brother's older, so I'm ready to play for tackle football. And first thing they do, go out there, helmet, shoulder pads, yada yada yada. Uh, I put them on, and it's like the first time we're doing contact. And I don't really know how to. I don't know football specifics, at just yet, like football movement specifics and contact. So first time I get the ball, I get run over bad. Like I get blasted. And after a couple tries, like I end up figuring it out, maybe like within the same practice, but I was played for the Tri-City Titans and I ended up playing quarterback that year, or number 10. And that was like my first experience with football. And personally, I didn't really like contact at the time. Like I'm not trying to get hit. I don't really like Oklahoma drills, what they used to do. I don't like Oklahoma drill because I was like, yeah, I'm not trying
I
to
think
get
some
blown
places
up.
ban those nowadays, Javon.
Yeah, that's illegal in like 3 states now. But back in the day, they were just letting us go at it. Helmets, no helmets, doesn't matter. Oklahoma drill. So, but yeah, so that was like my first intro into football. I was very, for lack of better terms, timid about the contact and whatnot, even though I was excited to be out there. So yeah.
At what point do you realize you're good at football?
I always felt like I was good at football. Like even as a kid playing flag, I knew that I was good at football. That first year, um, it didn't necessarily solidify it for me, but I knew that I was like, okay, I'm playing well, and like, oh, they're giving me the ball a lot. But the next year, we ended up moving to a different city, Pleasanton, where I like my parents still live, and we played for PGFL, it was like the Ravens team. Again, I joined a little late. I came to the like tryout, but they had already like kind of set teams. This was like the late tryout, and then I got on this team called the Ravens, and I realized that I was like bigger than everybody. Might have been 11, but I was like larger than everybody.
Makes a
And
difference.
there were like some big kids, but I was like I grew fast at that point in my life. So I was going crazy. I was playing running back. I scored like 25 touchdowns that year. Got a new bike for Christmas, and at that point I was like, okay, I know that I'm like nice. And I played running back because that's like what you do with the most athletic kid. You can play running back, can't really throw the ball, so you give him the ball to play. Uh, that was like when I really knew that I was like really good. Um, and then the next year, I played for the Bills, and my dad was a coach at that point. Same city and everything, PJFL. And that's when I was like, okay. Even though we didn't win every game. Oh wait, let me see. Yeah, even though we didn't win every game, like the way that I was playing and how the year went, we ended up winning the championship. Yeah, I was like, yes, I know for a fact that I'm nice at football.
So we are going to get into what kids should do, in your opinion, once they think, maybe have a certain pathway to advance myself in this around this age, around the high school age. But before we get there, Javon, because I told you all these things have a Canadian slant, eh?
Hmm.
I want to see if I get your opinion on this. Somewhat of a, I don't know, not not sensitive, but the idea of developing as a football player in Canada versus the U.S. Okay, so you left Canada. How shall I? You left organically, like you're 8, and your
Right.
family leaves. I assume for just family reasons, probably. You're
Yeah,
gonna you,
my parents wanted to move back closer to their parents, so
so you're 8. You leave to go to the football, more of a football hotbed. It seems to me, and you probably know this better than I do, that there's some of these Canadians in the NFL these days, Javon, their high school trajectory involves them. It's at least it seems to the outsider to actively deciding around high school, like we're going to leave Canada and we're going to go down south. So, for example, like the Browns, Sydney just won the Super Bowl. I think his trajectory was he left in high school. Nathan Rourke did the same. Uh,
hmm.
Josh Palmer did the same. There's some guys that don't. some guys that don't. But what I'd like to hear your opinion on is the idea of developing as a football player in Canada versus actively leaving to seek out a better environment. I say better environment, a more competitive environment. This is a topic I've talked many times about, which and the summary, at least from my end, might be: if you want to develop, Jevon, you have to compete against people that are better than you. So maybe that's a reason why some of these guys, it seems at least from the outside, that they seek out a more competitive environment. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I would love to hear your thoughts on the general topic of the prospect of developing as the highest level football player you can possibly be while remaining in Canada. What's your thought?
So I think you kind of hit on it a little bit. It's about being in a pool with bigger fish. And so yes, I left organically. But I'm sure my dad, because I was 8 when I left, my brother was 12, so one more year and then he's in high school. So my dad was like, you need to be in a, for my brother who
Yeah.
plays football, he needs to be in a bigger pond.
Hmm.
Um, I think the reason why it's, I would say, harder to develop in Canada is because there's not as many resources available, because I think they're behind, because football is bigger in a sense in America. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
There's more
For sure.
buy-in at a younger age. So I think that there's people who, because it's been like that for a long time, people have seen the fallout of, great players at a young age, and then they're not developing because there's no one around. So then they take up those reins to be that for them. So there 100% is a lack of resources in Canada, but um, I don't think that's, a knock on the natural development of athletes and the talent that's there, because there is talent in Canada. As you see, there's guys in Canada. I came from Canada, but I will say that the potential and what it could be is probably not all the way tapped into in Canada, um, as many times as it is in America, just because of the potency of the areas and how many trainers and developers there are in that area. So 100%. My dad is a personal trainer. He has a youth athletic development trainer facility in Pleasanton where we live. He was training a bunch of kids from SFU and the CFL while we lived in Vancouver. So he kind of was like started that movement on the West Coast. And now a bunch of guys who were trainers or were his athletes have moved on to being trainers now and are kind of doing the same thing. Um, I know there's a couple of brands that do it now and that have done it for quite a long time, the same as my dad. And they've had guys, come through and train. The Philpott twins who play in the CFL, those are my cousins. Their dad trains them, and they've, found resources to flourish. But I definitely think that the level of potential being tapped into is hindered in Canada just because of the scarcity of trainers and developers up there. So
It's the same, Javon, with our sport, like hockey, and maybe not so much in recent years, but it used to be the other way. Like if you wanted to learn to play hockey, you come to major junior hockey in Canada. Maybe not
mhm.
so much these days, but it's just same deal, I think, with the football. Let's get into some of this stuff now that you've already hit on here, which is so crucial, especially to a sport like football, Javon, which is the training aspect. And I think the time window in which you and I were still talking about, we're talking now like high school years. This is really, it seems to me, when the guys who play tackle football, they really realize how valuable the training, off-field training is.
Mhm.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the kind of stuff that you did and when you did it, on the topic of, Javon, the off-field, like weightlifting, training in general, whatever thoughts
Mhm.
you had, and keeping in mind your dad was crucial in this, I would suggest. But
Yeah.
any general thoughts you might have on the topic of high school years come around, the role of off-field training and what it might look like.
Yeah. So, I would say, because high school years in Canada, what is that 10th grade to senior year,
12,
fourth grade?
yeah.
Okay, so in America, it's eighth grade is eighth, seventh, and sixth is middle school, and then ninth grade, yeah, ninth to 12th, sorry, ninth grade to 12th grade is high school. So I was like training and working out on a consistent manner from seventh grade, like the end of seventh grade, going into eighth grade. Um, and then once eighth grade ended, my dad called it high school prep. And so that was like the summer or the spring when I was like really working out hard. I was learning these Olympic lifts and necessary lifts that I'm gonna see in the next level.
That's
So
cool,
that's
man.
like when I really started was that eighth grade year.
It was your eighth grade year,
It was
and
my
your
eighth grade
dad,
year.
and you're doing like clean and jerks and the whole
Yep,
lot.
clean and press, all nine foundation builders, all that hamstring curls, all that. So eighth grade year, I was like, okay, this is high school prep. I did that. Then after my freshman year, you're already in the program with the school, so you're like working out certain times. But I was still going home. I was working out in the morning with the team. Then I would go home and to our home gym and work out there because my dad obviously was like teaching us a bunch of other stuff. So we're just like I'm getting like the meat and potatoes of like powerlifting at high school. But then when I was going with my dad, I was doing like agility drills, plyometrics, um, mobility, stretching, like the whole nine, and it rounds you out for a lack of better terms. I know playing other sports is also a great way to get that off season training, but the damage you take in football, it needs to be prepped for specifically in a really detailed manner before you play that. So sometimes if you go play basketball right after playing football, which is not bad, but you go play basketball right after playing football, you may not have developed the necessary, body armor to go play the next season, and it could lead to injury, or it could lead to, you not playing as well.
Hmm.
So that off-season training really, especially in high school, really became important for me after my freshman year. And I just continued at it, naturally just stayed in the gym, stayed in the gym. And then after a while, you kind of start to see the results of that while this season comes and you continuously like building up this armor. Some guys aren't doing that. Some guys are kind of just taking it easy, waiting for the school to start up again. Um, you get into the season, and I'm like already ready to go. Summer workouts, I'm already ready to go because I've been training all off season. So
Yeah. Javon, you're speaking my language, man. The idea of, like you said, grade eight, right to the Olympic lifting, I think it's only beneficial.
hmm
I'd like to hear your thoughts. Here's another more of a philosophical question about the sport of football and the role of being just a pure physical specimen plays in the sport of football. It seems like more than many sports, Javon, that if you got a really great physical specimen, you know what I'm saying? I'm strong and fast and big. That can carry you farther, maybe, I think, in the sport of football than it can in other sports. So I guess what I'm asking you is if you can just share your thoughts on the maybe the contrast between just being a raw physical beast
yeah,
versus football specific skills and strategies. How those two marry, the benefits of being like a physical beast versus some of the things that the average sports fan might not know about what it takes to be a good football player, sports specific football skills.
yeah. So my dad always said, and I always said, the look test is like the first thing in any type of situation around football is what people start with, the look test. So physical specimens, DK Metcalfs and the large humans, Dexter Lawrence, the individuals that you look at and go, wow, like I would not want to go up against that guy. That right there gets people's foot in the door
That's a
more
legit thing, you're
times.
saying.
That's a legit thing. That is, and even with the NFL draft that just happened, the whole draft is about measurables. A guy could be the number one defensive back in the country. He can win the Jim Thorpe Award. If the receiver could win the Biletnikoff, could have all the, or I think it's Biletnikoff, could have all the accolades and whatnot in the college, but then go in the combine and they run a little bit slower than they think they should. They weigh a little bit lighter than they think they should, and then in the draft,
Really?
he drops.
Is
The
that
wide
true? I
receiver,
was I was going to ask you
absolutely,
that. It's that
absolutely,
it's that much of a thing. That seems
absolutely.
counterintuitive to me, man. I mean,
It,
even
it exactly, and it pegs the question of, well, what are these organizations doing when they're evaluating these players? It's the look test. These scouts go see them, they go see what they look like, they want to get a feel for their personality, who they are. But the first thing they got to do is look at them and see them test. So, for example, Tez Johnson, who was a receiver at Oregon this past year, he just signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a hell of a year. Has over like 3,000 yards in his career. He's been there for like 2 3 years. Like by far one of the most dominant receivers in the league in the NCAA. Get to the draft and he weighs 150 and he's not as heavy. He ran like 4.51, which shouldn't have been. He didn't run as fast as they thought he was, which they thought he was going to run like 4.4 or something like based on his game tape. And he's running passing by in his game tape. Now he's dropped to like the sixth round, seventh round. So it's like just off measurables, like you said, you can get your foot in the door farther than somebody who may not look the part but has all the necessary skills. So that person that doesn't look the part but has all the necessary skills will go into the facility in through the back door because they're like, yeah, sure, we'll give you an opportunity. Goes in there and blows their socks off because he knows what to do. He knows how to line up. He knows what his technique is. And he's doing it right every time versus the guy that goes in there who looks the part, who they drafted super high, but is not doing the right thing, can't understand the playbook, can't get the details and the techniques down, and but can run fast as hell and is strong and can run and jump and all that. So then you start then that's when organizations kind of start turning on the guy like, hey, we need you to do this. You're this high draft pick, da 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 da. But you drafted him high when in reality you should have
You knew he didn't
evaluated
have
him.
it.
Exactly. So when they draft you high, they expect you to come in immediately and play. But it puts those guys who have the look test, who pass the look test at a disadvantage because as soon as they walk in, they're going to need somebody to teach them. And these organizations or teams are expecting them to already know and already be this elite player when in reality they need more help than they realized.
You know what I say, Jevon? Like I'm a sports science guy. Like that's what I do basically. But the term that I have come up with, there's such a thing too. I think Jevon as sport science fiction, which is my term to say. Like you can take this too far, eh? Like, and I think some guy, I don't know, at the risk of being too cynical, like you're trying to justify your own existence.
Hmm.
If you're a
Yeah.
trainer or a physiologist, you say, oh well, these tests are so important, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, can the guy play football? Isn't that the question?
So that's the thing. Like especially with the draft, and I use the draft because it was just on, and it's the perfect example for the question you just asked. Like all the time, we see guys, reporters, journalists. This guy is too slow, or this guy didn't test well, or he didn't do this, or he didn't want to, and this and that. But then it's like turn on the tape and watch him play. All of these outside sources or these outside variables that absolutely mean nothing are determining whether this individual gets drafted high or low, or taken by a team or not taken by a team. But in reality, if you turn on the tape, he's the first one of the ball. He's hustling on every play. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
it's comical to see teams do this at a professional level, at a collegiate level, but you see it all the time.
yeah. I think
So
Jevon,
that
we,
and
we
that's
could
why there's
talk.
so much turnover. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
We could talk for an hour about the combine, but we
Literally.
we we, we got to fly along here, and let's get back to this, like what it means to be a good football player, specific skills, and I don't know if you can even articulate this because it's so complicated. But maybe let me just dumb it down and I'll simplify. We're still in part two here about the high school years.
Hmm.
At this point, you are not exclusively a defensive back yet. Is that right? You're playing
Correct.
receiver a bit too.
Yeah. Correct.
I guess my question is going to be, at what point? Okay, two questions. At what point do you specialize in saying, okay, listen, now I'm a DB? And part two, let's make it specific to you because we get into lots of stuff about different football positions.
Hmm.
We'll do the distinction between DB and a receiver. Okay.
Okay.
At what point do you become I'm specializing now as a defensive back in general? And
Hmm.
and what are the skills that differentiate, let's say, a DB between a receiver?
Okay. So my sophomore year is when because I was always playing DB and receiver. My sophomore year, I played both, and my junior and senior as well. But my sophomore year of high school, I started at free safety for the first time on varsity. That was the year that I was like, okay, I'm focusing on free safety. I'm still going to do receiver stuff and play receiver, and do receiver drills and stuff in practice. But my bread and butter and where I'm gonna be beneficial at is at free safety. So that was when I made that decision. The different skill sets between receiver and safety are, in my opinion, um, are just
Catching
the
the ball?
same, but they're the same but flipped. So
Okay.
you say catch the ball. That's a running joke that if you can't catch the ball but you're a good receiver, you play DB and then you'll be good.
I know. I know. It's terrible.
So
Terrible.
for DB, you're moving backwards. So being able to mirror somebody backwards and move backwards effectively and smoothly, and then being able to turn and go.
Yeah.
Uh, and then receiver is to be able to move somebody off of the spot facing forward and run fast, but then at the same time to be able to stop and turn around. So for DB, it's move backwards and run straight and run forward, and then for receiver, it's move forward and then turn backwards. So they're kind of mimicked,
Yeah.
and you have to train a specific way to be good at DB. But if you break down just like what it is a DB does, and it's mirror an individual at full speed backwards. So
That's pretty
I
cool.
think that the skill set for defensive back is harder to obtain at a high rate, at a
Hmm.
high level, because of the fact that not everybody is comfortable moving backwards, and
Yeah.
it's more comfortable to move forward. That's just our natural makeup in anatomy. So, yeah.
So eventually you do specialize in being a DB, and I want you to talk to me about the process of getting ready to go to college. Uh, so at what point are you exclusively a DB?
So I didn't get like exclusively
You were never,
DB
eh? Now,
until I
let
got
me
to
ask you,
college.
is it really, and is that because you were so good? Because
I wanted to play receiver because I enjoyed it, and I knew that high school was probably like the end of my receiver days. But I didn't train for receiver. The only time I did any receiver stuff is when I was working out with another defensive back, and I was like acting as a receiver for him, and then we
okay,
would switch. So there was no point where I was like training to be a receiver. I didn't have like a receiver coach or anything like that. Anytime I outsourced and went somewhere else to work out, I'm working out as a DB. So,
I got you.
and for lack of better terms, you could say that I was always specialized in DB, especially because my dad played DB. But
Okay,
I also played receiver during the season.
is that because you were so good? What I'm getting at is, were there other guys who were playing both ways on your high school team, or are you just
There
a
was,
a great athlete? So they say, Jevon, go out there, man. You do both.
yeah, it was me. Who else played both ways? And my other friend Quinn Brennan. He actually trained since we were kids. We trained together, and so it was kind of like the same. He played receiver and he also played quarterback too. Our senior year, he played quarterback for us, but me and him were starting at receiver and starting at safety. Our junior year on varsity. So yeah, he's the other one
Gotcha.
that was doing that.
Okay, so anyway, the answer to the question, I guess, was you didn't specialize until you got to college. You're playing like your receiver
Yeah.
and a DB. So we are going to get into part three here. I'm sensitive of your time. This has been fantastic, by the way, Javon. Very interesting. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you one last question about the training part. I'm a registered dietitian by trade. If you met me at a party and said, Dennis, what do you do? I'm a registered dietitian. So let's talk about to supplement the training that's going on. You say around grade eight is when you start in all seriousness weight training. Throughout high school, clearly, if you want to be a top level football player, you're weight training. I'll just very broadly throw it out there to you, and speak to me about what role nutrition might have played through this process.
Mhm. So nutrition for me, my first 2 years of high school, I was like not paying attention to it. I was just going out there, eating what my mom would make and whatnot. And my mom is very conscientious. My dad's a trainer, so my mom was making, spaghettis and pastas and making us eat our vegetables and broccoli and whatnot. So we had a healthy diet, but I didn't actively start to like put on weight until after after my junior year. So going into my senior year, I was 180, and I told my dad, I'm like, yo, I feel like I need to get a little bit bigger for this next year to then go into college. He was like, okay. He was like, eat every 2 hours. So at first I was kind of like, all right, like that seems easy, but I'm gonna end up being hungry because I'm eating meals every 2 hours. He's like, no, like supplement, bad snacks for good snacks. So I used to come to school with a lunch pack, like huge. And I would wake up in the morning and pack it myself. Because my mom would make our sandwiches, but I was like not gonna make her do extra work while I'm just laying in the bed. So I would get up. I'm putting granola in sandwich baggies. I have peanuts, almonds, pistachios, fruit, apples, bananas, oranges, and on the dot every 2 hours, my phone would vibrate, and I would grab another pack, and I would eat,
That's my
even if
thing
I
too,
wasn't
man.
hungry.
That's
What's
my.
that?
You're an eating machine. When the alarm goes off,
You
that's
have to
time to
eat.
eat. Am I hungry? I'm not asking if you're hungry.
It's just
It's
time to eat.
irrelevant. It's time to
Right.
eat to fuel the machine.
So I did that, and I also had protein shake in the morning. I had a protein shake in the afternoon, and then I had a protein shake at night. And I'd say in about 3 weeks or 3 months with a combination of like consistent workouts. Well, protein shakes after I work out, so it's not necessarily in the morning or nighttime, but after I work out, and I worked out in the morning with the team, and then in the afternoon with my dad. So 3 months, I went from 185 to 196, but strictly just like muscle, not like putting on unhealthy weight or anything like that. And so I told my dad that I wanted to like for this first 3 months from January to the end of March, it's just lifting. Like we just lifted, got super strong, And then April to May, that 2 weeks is just we're gonna run, and do DB drills. And so I ended up getting way bigger, way swoller, like stocky. And then I just started running and running and running. And so I shaved some of the weight off, but it was a healthy amount. And I felt way stronger, way bigger. But yeah, I was eating all the time, every 2 hours, and but healthy things. Beef jerky is like one of the best things you could eat. Just strictly just protein.
Protein.
Protein intake, bro. I was like, that shit had me changing my entire anatomy, and I felt like
That's what it does.
from that junior year, I was always considered like skinnier in my family. My mom would always like give me extra food because she thought I was skinny. After junior year, I was like not skinny no more. Like there was no more like thin, scrawny. I like put on weight and it was like noticeable. We had to wear polos for my high school. Like the polos are getting tight. I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling it like me really putting on weight. And I think that's when I first realized like, okay, nutrition is really important. What I take and what I eat is like really gonna determine how I perform. So for
And these
sure
days
nutrition is important.
you're playing weight these days 207, 205.
Nah, my playing weight these days like 203, 204. Well, I actually just did a whole scan thing that they wanted me to do. I think I was like 98 kilograms or 93, one of the two.
Okay. So you're
But I don't
measuring
even
in
know.
kilos in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not really too hip to kilos. I don't know if Canada does that, but I'm not
No,
too hip on
no,
kilos.
pounds are more meaningful to me. So
Yeah.
anyway, the
So
only reason why I mentioned that, Jevon, is just maybe to give one last shout out to maybe the potential football players out there who are not um, freakish, like 6'1", 203. There's dudes out there that are 6'1", 203. You don't have to be, one of these freakish specimens of
yeah, like
humanity.
6'5",
Yeah, yeah.
225. Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears here. Part three, we're going to talk about the transition now to college, and maybe Jevon, let's do a very broad question to you, and if you have any kind of advice, best practice, strategies for kids who are high school age kids who are sniffing around NCAA football as the next step, anything that comes to your mind might be your best piece of advice. I throw it out there in kind of an open-ended way. What would you suggest?
Yeah. Well, if they're not getting the recognition that they need or that they want to get to the collegiate in NCAA D1 level, then be okay with going JUCO and cooking for a little bit longer. My dad always told people if you're not getting the information, the attention you want right now, it just might mean you need to cook in the oven just a little bit longer. So
It's a good
if you choose
analogy.
to go JUCO, buy into the JUCO route, fully encompass, like really spend that next 2 years from trainer to dietitian to sleep at night. Like you really have to buy into yourself, and take advantage of these next 2 years because once you're done with that prep phase and you try to get an opportunity to go play like at another college, you need to be ready and
Mm,
you need to put good shit on tape.
right.
But if you do go to from a senior in high school to college, 100% buy into the program. Nowadays with NIL, guys are going one place and then skipping and going to another
Oh
place.
yeah.
You can't build any continuity, any understanding of learning, any understanding of how to use a weight room properly, a process. Keep in mind, go get the money where you can get the money, especially with this NIL thing. But buy
And that
into
was
the
different. That
program.
wasn't you weren't there during the NIL stuff.
No,
No, that
when
was.
I left, it ended. It started when I
Yeah.
left. So I
Right.
would say buy into the program
Big
because
difference.
when you buy into the program, you buy into the coaches, you buy into the strength staff. They buy back into you because they don't want to coach guys that are just there for a little bit, just there for the money and then leave. They want to coach guys who want to be good at football, who want to get to the next level, who want to do the things necessary to take the sacrifices that it's going to take to get to the next level. So when you do that, those coaches are going to reach back to you, and you're going to reach to them, and you guys are you're gonna find yourself in a position where they're putting you in the right position to succeed. The strength staff is checking on you, making sure that you're doing all your work, and that if you need any extra work, they're there for you. The medical staff as well, like they're gonna do everything necessary in their power to make sure that you're successful if you're buying into their culture and their program. So that's what I could say, for them in prep for college. I would say just make sure you're healthy, make sure you're in shape, be transparent with the organization about any type of instabilities, deficiencies, anything of that nature. If you don't know that you don't know, tell them that you don't know that you don't know. If you know that you don't know, tell them that too. Um, but yeah, I would say just being healthy, being competent, and understanding that you're new again. You're a freshman all over again. So be green and continue to like absorb, be a sponge, absorb as much information as possible.
So on that note, let me ask you this, another broad question, and I'm going to get you, Jevon, to compare the high school experience versus the NCAA experience in terms of what was the biggest differences, and maybe even, how about this? Let's add on what might be a factor of success. And I know that, again, to put a Canadian spin on this, I'm pretty sure the high school you went to in the US probably had more resources available than most high schools in Canada. But in your own experience, what I'm asking you to do is, how is it different, the NCAA versus your high school experience? And maybe what separates the people who succeed at, now we're at the next level, the NCAA, what helps them succeed?
Hmm. The difference between high school and the NCAA is your life in high school, football is wrapped around your life, or training is wrapped around your life, correct? So, oh, so that was my cat, sorry. So you could be, yeah, he was like on the shelf, I don't know. So you could be, you could have something else to do and you could train later on, or you could, you could train in the morning or whatnot. You're living your life and then football's wrapped around it. In NCAA or in college D1, your life is wrapped around football. So your schedule, your free time, it's all dependent on what's going on with football. Because if you're not on the, at the meeting on time, or you're not showing up on time, or working out at the time you're supposed to, you're not starting. If you're not starting, you're not enjoying yourself because you're just out there doing these workouts and practicing for no reason because you're not going to get on the field. And if you're not going to get on the field, then why are you there? You know what I mean? Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
ultimate goal? And that's to get to the next level, get to the league. So I would say that the seriousness that, or the commitment of time that you have to take in college is way higher than the commitment of time that you have to take in high school. And rightfully so, especially nowadays. But back in the day, like that was the only way to get to the league is through college. Nowadays, it's, there's not, more options to get to the league nowadays. But if you get money in college, say, guys
Yeah.
sign millions of dollars in
Big
college.
difference. Big, big
You could not
difference.
make it to the league and be
And
right
who cares?
A-okay. Who cares? You made
Absolutely.
millions of dollars in college.
Yeah.
Back in the
Yeah.
day, it was not. It was you're either going to the league
Yeah.
or you're going to graduate, get your degree, and go start going working somewhere. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Big difference.
the level of time commitment in college is way higher than high school, way higher.
Well, we're going to get to, we have one more level yet to get to, Javon. So I do want to talk about the NFL as well. But before we get there, I'm just checking over my notes here, and we're going to segue now, college to NFL.
Hmm.
And you and I, we talked about the combine already. Like, we could talk about the combine for an hour. But one thing I wanted to ask you, just because it's topical, the draft, as we're filming this happened. This happened last couple of days, the NFL draft. The process of getting from college to the NFL. We talked about the combine and all this stuff. The one, Javon, I wanted to ask your opinion on because it's topical, and we're not going to name names here. This is not a TMZ type of podcast, but the psychological aspect of these potential people coming into the NFL has been in the news lately, folks. You can look up if you want to look it up. I guess from your experience, do you have any interesting anecdotes, experiences with what the NFL teams did in terms of their, I'll call it psychological testing, Javon, and what role that might play in NFL teams selecting you? I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams want mentally tough individuals and mentally clear individuals as well. People that can articulate how they're feeling and can navigate their own emotions without it being detrimental to the rest of the team. Because everything in football is about the team. The team, the team, the team. Your job, you're getting paid, your career is for the team. So um, they're going to put people through really difficult tests. And sometimes they're very messed up. I think what happened in the last draft, which what everybody is talking about,
You mean this
was one
draft? I mean
this
year?
yeah
Yeah,
this
yeah,
draft is 100% a test for mental fortitude, because it's perceived that an individual didn't go through a lot as a kid, didn't have struggle like that in high school and college, and so they wanted to see what type of mental fortitude this particular individual has. And I think that it was a combination of some teams going with other players and that specific team getting to a point where they're like, okay, we're going to let him go. And if the other team picks him, then that's fine. And then
Mm.
it just kept going around, and the teams didn't pick him. And then that team's like, oh, well, let's keep on waiting and see how long he can be on the board. But if he's on the board at this pick, we'll take him. Right? And it just kept going
Mm.
round after round, round after round.
Mm.
And you saw this, and people were like, whoa, well, why is he not being picked? Why is
Five
he not,
rounds.
huh?
I said
Yeah,
five rounds.
five rounds. And it's like, why is he not being picked? Why is he not being picked? What could have happened? Could it have been, people start to speculate. Could he have, messed up in the meetings? Could it have been a private conversation that he messed up? Or did they not see the eye to eye? Was, his college coach saying something that they didn't like? But me personally, I just think that they were like, hey, let's not pick him right now. Let's see if somebody else picks him. And no one else took him. And they just let the rounds go by. Because if you got to think about it, if they took him in the first round, they're paying $40-something million for this high-level quarterback, he is a good quarterback. If they take him in the fifth round, which they did, they're paying him maybe $2 million, maybe less, for the same product.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he might be more motivated, might be more mentally hungry to get to be successful.
Yeah.
So is it a benefit that they took him in the fifth round for him? No, but for them potentially, because it might have set a fire under his feet that give them an even better player than what could have been if they took him in the first round. So the psychological warfare behind where they take these picks and how they do it is absurd, but it's definitely
It's interesting.
It's exciting to see. I mean, I'm excited to see what comes from that.
Yeah, interesting. All right, Jevon, we got about 7 or 8 minutes left, and because we got to play 10 questions at the end, by the way.
Okay.
It's Canada's favorite game show, Jevon. You've been in the States for a while. This is sweeping the nation of Canada. 10 questions on my, no, I'm joking, but anyway. But in 7 or 8 minutes, we do have to talk about the fourth and final level. There is no higher level. And folks, just to set the stage, there is no higher level in pro sports, really. In terms of the leagues, this is the most prestigious league, in my humble opinion, the richest league, the most resources, and in my humble opinion, if you're interested in physiology, the league that has the most impressive, awesome physical specimens, the NFL. So in 7 or 8 minutes, I guess I'm just going to throw it out there, another broad, open-ended question. If you've made it this far, Jevon, like you've had to go through an enormous number of culls, shall I say, cuts, high school, NCAA. You're in the NFL. Is there anything you can pinpoint as being, look, this is the big factor, or maybe a couple big factors that will allow an individual to succeed at the highest possible level?
Yeah.
What separates a guy that makes it from a guy that doesn't make it?
I personally think it's the TNTs, the takes no talents.
Say it again, the TNT?
The TNTs, the takes no talents.
Okay.
At the NFL, everybody's the number one player from where they're from. Everybody
Absolutely.
is the best,
Yeah.
right? So it's what separates you from the next guy. Is it your commitment to understanding the playbook? Is it your dietary, regime or regimen? Is it your sleep? How well you take care of your body? Are you spending money to help your body to recover? What are the necessary things that you're doing that are leading to your success? I think your attitude and who you are when you show up every day is one of the main things that
So what
get
specifically?
people successful.
Attitude?
So when you walk in the building, are you who you say you are? Are you the same person every day? Whether it's a good day, it's a bad day. Are you going to show up and give the coaches the opportunity to coach you? Are you going to give your teammates the opportunity?
That sounds like good
to
advice for life, not just the NFL, Jevon.
100%. And I think that's where you see individuals end up falling off, is that they take advantage of the short time we have in the league. I've been playing. This is my 5th year in the league. I'm confident that in 5 years, I will be looking at Amanda, my girlfriend, or my wife in that time. I will be looking across from her going, I might want to do something else. Because that's just the reality of the league. And I feel blessed to be in that position, to be able to think, in some years, I think I'm going to shut it down. That's not a reality for many people. One of my best
That's
friends was
crazy.
on the Dolphins with me. Started his freshman year, his rookie year. The next year, he made the team and they cut him.
It's also
And he
the most
hasn't
cutthroat league, by the way,
the
folks.
most cutthroat league. He made the team, they cut
But
him before the first week,
Jesus,
and he
Mary.
hasn't played a down since. After starting the year before and making the team, the 53, then getting cut. So it's so cutthroat. It's such a small window. You have to do everything in your power to put yourself in a position to be successful. Your best ability is your availability. So you have to prehab, mobility, strength, the whole spectrum, stretching, all of that. Like buy into your body, buy into your mind, and buy into your spirit, because a lot of people hold a lot of negative and problematic situations on their mind, and they don't use the resources that the league gives them. Therapy sessions, meditation. You can seek out these medical professionals that will allow you to free yourself from any type of burden that you're struggling with mentally, because that's a real thing. So buy into your body, your mind, your soul, and use the money that the league is giving you to stay in the league. Your body is your number one moneymaker in the NFL. You have to spend money to develop and to continue to rehab that, because football is 100% injury rate. It's just about what you do beforehand and after
Yeah,
that can make or break your career.
yeah. Fantastic advice. Fantastic advice. Jevon, like I said, I could talk to you all day, but I'm very sensitive of your time.
Thank you.
You have 11 minutes to play 10 questions.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, first question. I'm going to get you to respond to this, Jevon. First of all, thanks again. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and insights on football development.
Of course.
Um, we're going to get to some more of that type of stuff in here, but some of them are just fun. Get to know Jevon a little bit. So let's have some fun as we have fun and learn here. I'm going to get you to respond to this. Okay?
All right.
It's from my friend. It's from my friend Chris. This guy's a Giants Nation lifer. We're talking about Jeff Hostetler era. He said, "Please let Mr. Holland know the Giants Nation are excited to have him on our side, and the Giants are on the right track."
Right on.
Respond.
Appreciate
Respond.
that, Chris. I appreciate that, Chris. I appreciate that. We are on the right track, man. We're in there in OTAs doing the right thing. So I think we're
He's
taking the necessary steps to be successful.
Anyway. All right, that was question number one. Question number two. All right, Jevon. This is going to get to know Jevon a little bit better. This is my personal story of Jevon Holland. I have a personal story of Jevon Holland in the brief time we've interacted. And you don't know this. I'm going to share this with you here and now. This is, I think, a hilarious story. Get to know a bit about me, too, by the way. Anyway, here's the story. How did I reach out to Jevon Holland? I sent him a letter. I think I have a thing. Oh, I do have a thing. Look, like one of these old things. Okay?
Yep.
So I say, I send folks, because I don't know I don't know how to reach Jevon Holland. Anyway, I get a thing from the University of Toronto. I write with a pen on it, "Attention, Jevon Holland." I get the Miami Dolphins person, and I say, whatever the address is, send it off. "Hey, Jevon, put a letter inside. Would you like to do an interview with me about sports science for football?" I send off the letter. All right. It is, I think, what day did you sign with the Giants? You remember the exact day? I forget. March the 11th? Reading my notes here.
March 12th or
Something
11th,
like that.
somewhere.
Anyway, so I'm following the football, and I say, "Oh, Jevon Holland signs with New York." I'm like, damn it. There's some letter floating around Miami. He's never going to get this. He's
Yeah.
never going to get this guy. Anyway, so then I get an email 6 days after he signs. "Hey, Denis, nice idea. Can we do the interview?" So anyway, the question from this is, why would someone who has gone through this enormous life change 6 days later, what kind of character is Jevon Holland that he emails me after all and says, "Hey, yeah, let's do the interview"?
Man, look, I so when I officially signed, I got on my mail that they send us, that I get from the facility, and I got it, and so I was like, let me look through these, writing letters back and signing like cards and stuff, and I came across your letter, so I'm like, University of Toronto, like, okay, wow, it's professor, da, da. So I open it up, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this seems cool. So I was like, might as well email. I have my email up right there. I was like, all right, let me go ahead and email you now. Because if I feel like if I would have walked away and like went to the bathroom and came back, I would have got distracted by something different.
Sure.
But I was
Anyway,
like, let me
folks,
do it right real quick.
the
Yeah,
old school.
sweet. It
Now
was
let me add. I'm going to
no,
add one more thing, just for the sake of hilarity. Okay.
sure.
Anyone that knows me, Jevon, I don't have a cell phone, okay? And I don't text people, okay? Now, who's
Oh,
been
wow.
texting you? My wife
I
has been texting you. And folks, here's
really?
I'll show a picture of this later, eh? No, listen to this. At some point, for some reason, folks, I thought I'd put no, it was the day that she wasn't here, and I had to text myself, okay? So I'm responding to you. I don't know how to do this, and I put in one of those like happy faces, okay?
Yeah.
You know, an emoji the kids call it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Anyway, I put in Jevon the wrong emoji. I don't know if you noticed this, and it pops up instead of a happy face, a heart. And my wife says, Dennis, you just told Jevon Holland that you heart him. So Jevon, I don't know if you noticed that, but anyway, I was very mortified. Jevon, listen, I like you, man. I
Yo,
like you.
I just let
I
it go.
like you. I'm not in love with you.
So I was just like, hey, whatever. Like I was just like, hey, this is whatever your prerogative is. Go ahead and do your thing.
Anyway,
But,
anyway, that's my story. Anyway, you got to move along here real quick. All right. Uh, question number 3. What's your cat's name?
I got three cats. The oldest is Remy. She's a girl. Then Rocco's the middle cat. He's the fat one, and then Lynx is the youngest.
Okay. Question number 4. Jevon, what is your favorite tattoo?
I'd say my favorite tattoo is this little pyramid or this periodic table of elements thing I made. Me, my brother, and my sister, all of our names start with J. So it's J to the third power, and then I used all our nicknames: Jam, Vaughn, and Jada. My brother's name is Jameer. I'm Jevon, and my sister's name is Jada. So Jada
That's
third
lovely.
power. Yeah.
Glad I asked. Question number 5. Very simple. You might have some insight here. Talk about family dinners. I heard a story that the Holland family was big on family dinners.
Yeah, we eat family dinners like every night, and that's just like how we kind of ate dinner. And I didn't realize that until I went to my homeboy's house, and I was like, "All right, dinner's ready." And he like grabbed it and went to his room, and I was like, "Oh, you don't eat at the table?" Like I always eat at a table, and so that's just like a thing that we did. And I thought it was just like the way that things were, but now I know it's not necessarily tradition. So
There's value to it. I
yeah,
came across somewhere that the Hollands did that, and it's just time to put things aside and talk about real life stuff with the family. I'm a big proponent of it, so that's why I thought
yeah.
I'd ask you. All right, that was question number 5. Question number 6. I ask everybody this, Jevon, no matter who you are. If you were a ballet dancer, I'd ask you the same question. What is your personal 1 rep max bench press? Starts with a
3,
3, folks.
3, probably like right now it's probably like 335. Nothing too high.
399.
335. 335.
335?
Yeah,
Okay, that's your
335.
answer. Great answer. All right, here's another question. Okay, this is a multiple choice question. Your old friend Justin Bethel, was he best at A, cornerback, B, cook, C, something else?
B, cook. He is a phenomenal cook, dude.
Oh,
I don't understand. He is a true chef. His
really?
preparation, I made like some like cheesecake with him. We did like a whole thing for the Dolphins. But he like how he cooks and cleans at the same time. It's seamless. It's amazing. He does other stuff too.
Oh, I know.
He's a
Yeah,
drummer. He's a
he's a
drummer.
Renaissance man.
He's a Renaissance man. He truly is. He really is. He's under like a band and everything. Oh man, it's great. It's great. He's a great guy. Shout out Justin.
Okay. Well, next question here. I've lost my order, but we're at funniest teammate ever and why?
Man, some of the funniest teammates I've had, probably this kid Jordan Ademi John. It's like one of my best friends in college. He was funny because like he's a physical specimen. Like when you look at him, you're like, wow, this guy is like physically super good. But he was always doing like some funny movement and would like fall on accident or something. It was always fun. And we would watch it on tape. It was hilarious. But he's just a funny guy in general. So I'd say Jordan.
And the name again, Jordan.
Jordan Ademi John.
That's the funniest teammate and why. All right, we only
Yeah.
got 2 left, Javon.
Let's do
Uh,
it.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's see if you have an answer for this one. Best football player of all time.
It's kind of a
This
hard
is
question
oh,
because
it's a very hard question.
because it's like
You're weighing different positions, I know, but
right.
this is why 10 Questions is Canada's favorite game show, Jevon. We ask these types of hard-hitting questions.
Ah, best football player. I feel like Tom Brady's a cop out, but that's like best
No,
quarterback.
that's
But like
yeah, no.
football player in itself, a lot of people want to say Walter Payton. I never
Mm.
watched him play though, so I can't really say that.
He's a bit before
Mm,
your time.
yeah, he's before my time.
Did you watch Barry Sanders? Was in your. No, he
Yeah,
wasn't
I watched.
actually.
No, he wasn't,
Was
but
he?
I did watch Barry Sanders. So Barry Sanders was amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe Barry. Yeah. Hmm.
Hard question. Hard
It's a hard
question.
question for sure, especially
You
when you
didn't.
take out the positions. It's like
You never listed a single defensive back. What's wrong with that, man? You didn't. You're
because I didn't list.
underappreciating yourself.
You're right. You're right. 100%. I didn't list DB because like I always think quarterback because quarterback is like the hardest position to
Sure.
play. So if you're the best at the hardest position, like wouldn't that make you the best? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Anyway, it's a hard
yeah.
question, I know, and we only have one left, and then we're going to end our time here today. And I'm okay. I'm taking this. I'm going to get you to comment on this again. We talked about Jevon at the very, very beginning here an hour ago. We talked about some of the values of the sport of football, life type of values. Okay, I'm going to get you to comment on what I'm going to read out here. It's one of again on my son's high school football team. They have
Hmm.
these things that Jevon they call the core covenants, and there's 6 principles. Okay, so when he was going to high school and I saw this, I said, "Look at that man." I think this is being lost from the world, these types of values. And the one that stuck with me, I'm going to read it out, okay, for you. And I'm going to get you to comment. We're talking about football. We're talking about life in general, Javon. One of the 6 core covenants of Colts football. Discipline. The future is more important than how I feel right now. I think in the world today, people are very, very worried about, my feelings at this moment is the most important conceivable thing.
Hmm.
But I think in life and football, that's not the right way to go. So anyway, that I just read out that covenant. Any thought, any comment you might have on that topic of how that applies to football or life might be a good way to end our interview here today, Javon.
Yeah, and I'll segue that to what my dad told me when I was 12. And it was about discipline. He told me that what I do right now is going to affect 16-year-old Javon. So at 16, when you look back at 12-year-old, are you going to appreciate the dedication that he had to you at that time? And then when you're 20 and you look back at 16-year-old Javon, are you going to appreciate 16-year-old Javon when you're 20? So I would say that discipline and dedicating to the future goal or the your future self at that time, regardless of how you feel, whether you're tired, sleepy, not in it, annoyed, irritated, not want to do something, get up and go do it, or commit to doing it, regardless of how you feel, because you're gonna reap the benefits later on. So,
Your future self, you say.
yep,
Fantastic.
yes, sir.
All right, Javon. Look, I appreciate every minute that you gave me here today from our humble beginnings together, Javon. I appreciate your time. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your insights here today.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Jevon, as I always close by saying, let's go Canada. Support Canadian athletes.